Before we get into this week's chapter, we just want to say that this week had 2 color pages this week, both of which were pretty cool. But let's just go ahead and talk about the first one, which actually involves the story. And it's actually Sasuke. He actually is leaving Toby or Madara, whoever the hell he is he's leaving his hideout. And it doesn't really show us too much more about what's going on with him, but it is cool to actually see him again and see the fact that he's finally getting ready to move out. But the real, meat and potatoes this week is this interesting color page. It's a what-if picture. It's all the Jinchuriki standing together, and they all have, like, their own customized uniforms, and they're, like, this Jinchuriki ninja team. And even though it's never going to happen, this is one of the coolest-looking color pages I've seen in the whole series, and it just gives you a little hope that, maybe they could do a spinoff or something like this. I don't know. It looks really cool.
It'd be some cool filler. But also the Sasuke one was kind of pointless, because didn't he already escape? Like, this was kind of a pointless color picture for Sasuke. I would have rather see him show up somewhere and enter the battle instead of just come out of a hole. So the chapter actually starts with Jugo and Suigetsu walking around in the woods, and they're talking about getting the team back together, Team Hawkeye, or something like that. I forgot what it was.
Hawkeye.
Something like that. They're just walking around the woods, and there's a little thing down there that says, "Where's the woods leading them?" And, obviously, me and Corey think that they're going to run into Suigetsu's brother and maybe fight or talk or something.
After the bit with Suigetsu and Jugo, we finally go back to the real battle at hand, the one that's going on between Naruto, Bee, Toby, all the Jinchuriki, Guy, and Kakashi. It's ridiculous. But anywho, it's really, really crazy right now. Basically, Naruto's just explaining to them that all of these guys have the Sharingan and they have the Rinnegan, and they might have the abilities of the Paths of Pain. So they're in really big trouble, but all of a sudden the Five Tails just starts running towards them. And Toby just happens to be in the way as well. And before this can even actually happen, he uses the fuck you chakra chain, where he's basically able to use a choke chain made of chakra on the Five Tails, and he's able to subdue him. And this is just a good little bit of evidence to show that he can't fully control these characters quite yet when they're in their fully released states.
At this point, we see the A-Tails and Bee start to explain to Naruto that the Beast and the hosts have different personalities and they're separate of each other. And this makes sense. We've seen that, all throughout the series. In Bee and the Eight-Tails talking and all that junk. And the QB butts in and says, "Hey, we've always been Pokemon, tailed beasts, pets to the ninja world. And this has only been, slightly different because of Eight-Tails and Bee, which the village actually sees the Eight-Tails as not just a big pet."
So the QB is sick of hearing all of this stuff that the Eight-Tails is shoving down his throat. And the QB basically retorts back. He's like, "You should know better anyway. You're the Eight-Tails. You're the second strongest of us. That should represent how powerful you are." Although the Eight-Tails interjects yet again, and we finally get an official confirmation that the number of tails does not actually determine the power of the beast itself. And this is an interesting thing to note. And we even see that in the past, apparently, the One-Tail Shukaku didn't get along too well with the QB. I'm not really sure why this is. I think it was something Shukaku said about, like, the QB's mom.
A mom joke. Guy and Kakashi end up attacking the tailed beast, and they have some developed technique or something just to figure out which path is which path of pain. And then at this point, they get their ass whooped by a tail, and then they're like, "Oh shit, they're not even using the path of pain abilities." And they start, like, regrouping.
So as if a fully released Five Tails demon wasn't enough, Toby decides to kick it up a notch and send out 2 more into the battlefield. And he sends out the 6-tailed hentai slug and the Dragon Ball ripoff 4-tailed Ozaru. And, they're pretty cool, and I love the panel. You actually see both of them exploding into the battlefield. You can see their Jinchuriki states are actually normal, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're big. And this is really, really cool. But it's pretty obvious that it's not going to be that easy. Even Bee is able to take down the Four Tails almost immediately. But this battle is not over yet.
So at the end of the chapter, we see the slug end up fighting Guy and Kakashi, and it lays down its slime in front of them, and Kakashi's like warning Guy, "Don't touch that stuff." And then we see the Four Tails go for Bee and Naruto, and he throws Bee in his Eight-Tails state out of there, no problem, and then is about to, like, munch down on Naruto, and we see Naruto go back into the QB chakra mode, and we see the fox wake up from his fake powwow sleep, "Oh, don't mess with me, I'm sleeping, wah," and then he, opens his eye, and it looks like he's probably going to end up helping Naruto in the next chapter. And you can see a little caption down there. It's like, "What will the fox reveal to Naruto next week?"
Oh, come on, you guys know that shit is definitely about to go down!
Yeah! Tonight!
So this week's chapter was big, and that's not just because there were a bunch of freaking giant demons running around and destroying the landscape. It wasn't anything too crazy this week, but it was an entertaining chapter on the whole. And I do like the fact that we finally got to see the Four Tails and the Six Tails finally transform. That was really the highlight for me. You know, Kakashi and Guy are pretty much doing what they always do, even though they had some glorified new techniques in here. At the end of the day, Kakashi's technique was just another Chidori, and Guy is just another, you know, powered-up punching guy, so it really wasn't anything too nuts. But there's a lot of things that are going to be happening later on that I'm looking forward to, now that we can really see that the QB is starting to warm up to Naruto a lot more. And I can't wait to see where it's going to go from there. Personally, I think in the next chapter, I'm really hoping either Naruto's going to take full control of the Nine-Tailed Fox, like he's going to have full control over his new form, or he might actually transform into the full Nine-Tails altogether. And I think that would be badass because, you know, the way he's, like, holding open the mouth of the Four Tails. In the next chapter, there's like a giant explosion, and the Four Tails' head will just explode. And then, like, standing on top of it will be the Nine Tails with, like, all of its tails just, like, freaking out all over the place. That'll be awesome. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
I say some of the coolest revelations that I found out this chapter was that the number of tails has really nothing to do with the beast. That was something that we, you know, started to get hinted at lately, but now we're like, we know that that doesn't mean anything, and that the Nine Tails is just sort of like a proud motherfucker just saying like, hey, I got the most tails, so I'm the most badass. You know, it doesn't matter that half my chakra is sealed away in the fourth Hokage, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the point is that Toby's chains also were something interesting, too. It kind of looks like Naruto's mom's technique, you know, and that's something to note that's kind of interesting. And I immediately thought of that because she had, like, such a cool ability to, like, help Naruto when he was fighting the fox inside of himself to get the chakra away from him. You know, go back and read those chapters and then look at this, and it looks a lot like that technique. So, you know, more interesting stuff about Toby, and a good chapter for sure.
And going back, one more thing I just want to say, going back to the actual demons themselves, I did like that they showed that the Nine-Tails and the Shukaku apparently didn't get along very well. And another thing that's interesting to note, going back to the whole, you know, the number of tails representing how much power they have and everything, I always sort of thought this myself too, because now that we've seen all the demons, we kind of have a decent idea of like how big they are. In retrospect, when you look at it, Shukaku the One-Tails is actually the biggest one. I mean, if you remember the battle that Naruto was having with it, like, you remember when he was fighting with Gamabunta against the Shukaku and Gaara, he still had it and everything. And even when he transformed into the Nine-Tails there, he was really not that much bigger than the Shukaku's arm. So that's just another thing to note. I mean, that's really cool. So I know it's probably not going to happen either, but I'd love to see Shukaku somehow end up in the battle. I mean, he doesn't really have a host right now, but I'd really like to see that.
For a rating this week, we want to slap a 7.5 on this bad boy. Mostly because I was a little disappointed. We didn't actually get to see Guy and Kakashi do much yet. I mean, technically, they could do a lot more. We really haven't seen Naruto and B actually do anything on a, you know, offensive level, except, you know, they pretty much just get hit or defend themselves. They haven't actually done anything to, like, help beat these beasts yet. So hopefully we'll see some more things like that, and maybe, you know, some more things to help move the story along. Yeah, we did get Suigetsu and Jugo and all that stuff, but they're just walking through the woods, so that's not going to save this chapter.
And a color panel of Sasuke does not save this chapter.
No, so 7.5 feels about right. We can't all give them 8s and 9s, so, you know, hopefully next week we can see a better rating coming our way. Okay, you guys, for question of the week, I want to ask you, now that we got to see Sasuke's redundant colored picture, where do you think he is going to go? What battle do you want to see him show up at?
And my question of the week has to do with Naruto. It's pretty obvious that he's about to go all out, although we don't know how he's going to go about doing this. You guys can let me know. Is he actually going to turn into his brand new chakra state? Or is he going to fully turn into the Nine-Tails? Let us know with your comments below.
Until next time, you guys, SuperKamiGuru9000 out. Do the Goku outro.